Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to an update on the AstraZeneca vaccine. Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue à cette mise à jour concernant le vaccin d'AstraZeneca. Les porte-paroles aujourd'hui sont le médecin hygiéniste.
Speakers today are Dr. Jennifer Russell and the Honorable Dorothy Shepherd, Minister of Health.
This afternoon are Dr. Jennifer Russell, the province's Chief Medical Officer of Health, and the Honorable Dorothy Shepherd, Minister of Health. Dr. Russell.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous.
Hello, everyone.
En tant que médecin,
As Chief Medical Officer of Health, it is my sad duty to confirm of the death of a New Brunswicker who experienced blood clots following vaccination with the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine.
deuxième cas,
This is the second case and first death in our province of vaccine-induced immune thrombotic thrombocytopenia, VITT. Thrombosis with thrombocytopenia with unusual blood clots with low platelets is a very rare side effect of this vaccine.
of health, it is my sad duty to confirm the death of a New Brunswicker who experienced blood clots and low platelets following vaccination with the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. This is the second case and the first death in our province of thrombosis with thrombocytopenia, TTS. There are 2 other cases currently under investigation, and I wish to offer my sincere condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of this individual. Your loss is deeply felt by all your fellow New Brunswickers. This individual, aged 60 to 69, received a dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine in mid-April and developed symptoms 7 days after immunization. The individual went to a hospital emergency room for treatment and was admitted, and the person passed away in hospital 2 days later. To protect the privacy of this individual and their family, we cannot release any further details, but I can say that I did speak with the family and offered them my condolences directly and talked about the process of investigating and reporting such a situation. Je tiens à souligner avec insistance qu'il est
I want to stress that medical complications following vaccination are extremely rare, but they do happen. Research shows that VITT will occur in 1 out of every 100 to 250,000 doses of vaccine. Hundreds of thousands of doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine have been administered across Canada as part of our massive vaccination campaign. The vast majority have occurred without incident.
that some cases of thrombosis will occur. We will continue to evaluate the use of this vaccine to ensure that risks associated with its use are proportional to the potential consequences of contracting COVID-19, becoming hospitalized, requiring ICU admission, and even death. The risk is not zero using it in people aged 55 and over, but the information that we have to this date is that the benefits outweigh those risks, and we will continue to evaluate the situation. Un tel décès est tragique. Il est toutefois tout aussi tragique qu'une
Such a death is tragic, but it is equally tragic to have a person become gravely ill or die from a virus from which they can be protected by receiving a vaccine.
or die from a virus from which they can be protected by receiving the vaccine, a vaccine. That is why we will continue to use every tool at our disposal to limit the spread of the COVID-19 virus. To date, New Brunswick has received 48,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, including 100 doses received this week. We have administered 44,000 doses so far. We have used this product prudently in keeping with medical evidence and guidance from the National Advisory Committee on Immunization. Since March 29th, we have limited the use of this vaccine to New Brunswickers 55 years of age and older. In people of this age bracket, the risk of serious harm from COVID-19 is greater than the risk of these rare blood clots. If you have received the AstraZeneca or Covishield vaccine, please seek medical attention if one of these symptoms develops between 4 and 28 days after vaccination. Shortness of breath, chest pain, leg swelling, persistent abdominal pain, neurological symptoms such as severe and persistent worsening headaches or blurred vision, or skin bruising or tiny blood spots under the skin beyond the site of the injection. New Brunswick intends to continue to use AstraZeneca vaccines along with other vaccine products now available, and we will use them with care and attention, but we will use them based on our current assessment of our current cases and the progress of the pandemic. The risk that COVID-19 presents to New Brunswickers is very great, and we will need to protect our population. Everyone can and should make an informed decision about the vaccine that they receive. Ask questions about the relative risks and benefits of each product. Cependant, je persiste à dire que
However, I will tell you that the best vaccine you can get is the one you can get as fast as possible. We are in a pandemic, and the more New Brunswickers that we can protect with the vaccine, the sooner we can all find the light at the end of the tunnel.
afternoon to provide the latest information on new cases of COVID-19 in New Brunswick. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Bonjour. On behalf of all New Brunswickers, I want to extend heartfelt sympathies to the loved ones of the person who has died. While this death is truly tragic, it is important to remember that the risks of dying from COVID-19 are far greater than the risks associated with receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine. I understand that today's news will cause some to question whether they should get vaccinated, but I ask that you listen to the science and follow the advice of public health as you make your decision. And as Dr. Russell has said, the advice is clear. When it's your turn, get vaccinated. It is advice that many New Brunswickers are heeding. As of today, 38% of people aged 16 or older have received at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Yesterday, we announced that people 50 years and older, as well as those 16 and older with 2 chronic conditions, are now eligible to make an appointment to be vaccinated. Overnight, we had more than 10,000 people registered to be vaccinated. This is a one-day record. Last week, we had around 14,000 people register for clinics being offered by Vitalite and Horizon Health Networks. If you have already registered for an appointment or have received your COVID-19 vaccine, thank you. You have taken an important step forward and are protecting not just yourself, but those around you. If you are eligible to make an appointment for the vaccine, I encourage you to do so. Please do not let today's tragic news stop you or the progress we have made as a province. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you, Minister and Dr. Russell. Merci beaucoup, Ministre Shepherd et Dr. Russell. Nous allons maintenant procéder aux questions. Les journalistes, vous avez le droit de...
We will now move on to the media's questions. Each reporter will have one question. Make sure your microphone is on mute.
Members of the media, each reporter will have one question. You have the right to pose your question in the official language of your choice. Please ensure your microphones are muted. On va commencer avec Michel Corriveau avec Radio-Canada.
And we will start with Michel Corriveau. I have a question for Dr. Russell. I didn't really understand the beginning of the press conference. I had the sound issues, But the person we are talking about today, did the person have pre-existing conditions to having blood clots? Some people have them for different reasons, or if there were no conditions. For confidentiality reasons, Michelle, I can't really give you any more information, except that I can tell you that with the information we have in such a death, this is something that we take seriously. And there are 2 other cases that are being investigated right now. And that is giving us pause to conduct more research and get more information to direct us in the next months and weeks to come with the AstraZeneca vaccine. With our national group, advisory group on vaccines, this is something that we take very seriously. And if we need to make more announcements or make other decisions in the coming weeks because of the information we get, we will keep on changing. Here,
Dr. Russell, I understand that on April 6th, I believe it is, you joined the NACI panel on behalf of the Council of Chief Medical Officers of Health. In that position, I'm interested in how readily you agree with Minister Carty's instructions yesterday to disregard NACI's advice when it comes to considering risk of being vaccinated with AstraZeneca or Johnson & Johnson compared to Pfizer, Moderna, and other vaccines.
Hi, Harry. Just to clarify, I did read a post on Twitter about me becoming a member of that panel. I am not a member of NACI. I joined a media event panel for the purposes of relaying information on behalf of Chief Medical Officers of Health in the country. So my colleagues across the country, we meet at least 3 times a week to discuss all the different components of the pandemic and our response and all the up-to-date technical information, et cetera. So on that particular day, I was just part of the media event speaking on behalf of the Chief Medical Officers of Health in the country. With respect to Health Canada approval of the vaccines here in Canada at this time. Again, we've had many meetings with Health Canada, and in fact, they are part of our calls 3 times a week as well. And with respect to NACI, again, their information continues to evolve because the research continues to change. So initially, we had information from Europe, we had information from the UK, and now in real time, we're able to gain new information here in Canada in various jurisdictions across the country. So as you know, Alberta just announced a death yesterday. I believe Quebec had a death. So these are not unexpected outcomes based on the statistics, but they are tragic and they are sad, and we take them very seriously, and we will continue to evolve as the information becomes clear to us each passing day and each passing week.
Kevin Bissett, Canadian Press.
Good afternoon. I'm wondering, in light of today's news, what your advice is to people who've had a first dose of AstraZeneca. Should their second dose be AstraZeneca, or should they get one of the other vaccines?
Great question, Kevin. We have received questions about that. We will have more information in about 2 weeks' time. That's when the data that we have on mixing and matching doses will be provided to us, and we will share that with you at that time. So in the meantime, again, we will have more information on that in the next 2 weeks.
Silas Brown, Global TV.
Hi there. I'm wondering if this poses any challenges from a communications standpoint, where you have one minister yesterday saying to ignore the advice of NACI, and Dr. Russell today you're saying that New Brunswickers should weigh the relative risk of vaccines. Is this fighting at cross purposes here, and how do you ensure that you're presenting a united front to New Brunswickers, and the advice still seems to be that you should take the first shot available to you?
I'm going to take that. All of the vaccines that we're utilizing are Health Canada approved. And we work with our team here, Dr. Russell and her team, the vaccine task force. They delineate a lot of information that we work with. And so for us, this is about assuring New Brunswickers that these are vaccines that are approved by Canada Health, and we move forward with that information. And information evolves every single day. You know, we had a news release today that Pfizer, Health Canada has approved Pfizer for 12 to 15-year-olds. Our team will take that information and go through it and then make recommendations to government. So we are constantly looking at the information that's available to us. The UK has used AstraZeneca almost entirely, and you can see how their numbers are plummeting. So it evolves every single day, and our teams take that information.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Minister. Marie Sutherland.
I'll just add to what Minister Shepherd said, is that, again, we will continue to use AstraZeneca as an option that New Brunswickers may choose or not.
Marie Sutherland, CBC.
Good afternoon. Question for Dr. Russell. Is there any scientific evidence yet about whether the risk of blood clots is increased after a second dose of AstraZeneca?
I haven't seen that data, but certainly if somebody has complications after the first dose, again, that's the information that we're waiting for in the next 2 weeks to make sure that they could be given a different vaccine for that second dose. For several reasons. Also, supply. If our supply of mRNA vaccines is much, much higher, then that makes sense. And then also if somebody who received a first dose of AstraZeneca who is under the age of 55, to make sure that it's safe to give them an mRNA vaccine for their second dose. But that information, again, will be provided in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Ms. Sutherland. Thank you, Dr. Louise Rodriguez, Radio-Canada.
Oui, bonjour. Ma question est...
My question is for Dr. Russell and Minister Shepherd talked about it briefly. I wanted to talk about Pfizer being advice for youth 12 to 15 years old. When can they expect to be vaccinated? We have a working group working on the planning of our vaccination rollout. When we have more information on that, we will make an announcement.
Yeah, so recently the province stood up and said, okay, we're expecting this to be between every 1 in 100,000 and 1 in 200,000 cases. Well, now we got 4, and we've vaccinated 280,000 people. We've got relatively low cases, and there's more vaccines from other companies arriving, en masse. Why not just suspend the use of AstraZeneca in New Brunswick and allow New Brunswickers to get other vaccines that aren't having these problems?
Great question, Andrew, and we are reviewing that. Again, this is a very, throughout the pandemic, things evolve very quickly. So we do have 2 cases under investigation currently. And so again, we will take all that information into account, and it's a fluid situation, and we will continue to make adjustments in our planning and in our communications based on all the information that we receive on a daily basis.
Just to support what Dr. Russell's saying, as I mentioned before, the UK has used this vaccine almost exclusively, and their numbers are coming down. It has proven to be a tool in the toolbox, and all of the vaccines are Health Canada approved, and it remains an option in our province today.
Thank you, Mr. Watt, Minister. Thank you, Dr. Vicky Hogarth, CHCO TV.
Thank you, Bruce. Minister Shepherd just mentioned that Health Canada is now authorizing Pfizer for children aged 12 and up. How do you see this rolling out in New Brunswick? Will people aged 12 and over be offered the vaccine before the Canada Day date that we had in mind?
I'll start. So, Vicky, we have a vaccine task force that takes into account all the different pieces of information and technical information that we receive on a daily and weekly basis. So, they will make sure that that information is plugged into the rollout, and we'll have more announcements on when they will get vaccinated as soon as we have more information.
Laura Brown, CTV.
Hi there. I'm wondering if Nova Scotia lowered the age for AstraZeneca last week, I believe. I'm wondering if there's any consideration at this point that New Brunswick does the same, or at now is that completely off the table?
Hi, Laura. So Nova Scotia has a very different epidemiological picture right now. Obviously, with 1,000 cases in less than a week recently, they have a much higher risk, obviously, of contracting COVID in that population right now. And again, this is all about balancing risks and benefits. So they've made that choice based on their epidemiology. We don't have the same epidemiological picture at this moment in time, so the answer for right now is no.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Thank you, Doctor. Adam Harris, Brunswick News.
Thanks, Bruce. Just following up on Health Canada's approval of Pfizer vaccine for kids aged 12 to 15, I just wanted to know what this could mean for herd immunity targets, and if this is a step in the right direction towards reaching that sooner rather than later.
Great question, Adam. When we last met with our counterparts in Israel, they had just started vaccinating kids aged 12 to 15. And prior to that, I think they had about 60% of their population had 2 doses of a vaccine on board. And so, again, we have the luxury of learning from other jurisdictions who are ahead of us by several months. But certainly, I can't imagine that it wouldn't benefit us to have more of our population vaccinated with 2 doses between now and the beginning of September. So, again, it does allow for us to be able to examine what the effects are in terms of outbreak management, and does it contribute to lower hospital admissions and ICU admissions and deaths. I can only imagine that it will help with that. As you know, the vaccines aren't 100% effective, but they definitely are effective against hospitalization, ICU admission, and death in a very significant, substantive way.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Thank you, Dr. Jennifer Baza, CTV.
Hi there. My question is for the minister. So there's been issues raised within the healthcare system by Sackville's deputy mayor, including the need for more healthcare workers in their area, and as well as other urban areas across New Brunswick. What is the current status of the recruitment process of doctors and nurses in the province?
So we are actively engaging physicians on an ongoing basis. It happens every single day. I just had a meeting this morning with a community and their efforts to recruit physicians to their community. So as I've stated before, I really think that communities have a particular role to contribute here, and I think many of them are anxious to do that. So what is the status? I know that our net gain at the moment is in the positive, and so we're going to continue working that every single day.
Thank you. Stéphane Sinclair Fortin, allnewbrunswick.com.
Hi, good afternoon. My question is for Dr. Russell. I'm just wondering about the 2 other cases that are currently under investigation. I'm just wondering if those patients have recovered, or are they in hospital right now?
Well, for confidentiality reasons, I can't really give any more information. Again, we have an investigative process and a reporting process, so we're going to follow that, and more to follow. When we have updated information, we'll be able to provide that.
Elizabeth Fraser, CBC.
Hi there. My question is for Minister Shepherd. Given all the conflicting and concerning information about AstraZeneca, how are those who refuse that vaccine being accommodated in terms of being quickly booked for another vaccine?
I don't know that we've had anyone refuse the AZ vaccine. What I do know is that there are significant clinics out there right now for Pfizer and Moderna. People have options when they go to the website to book, and they have options when they call. And so those options are just really falling into place. I don't think it's been an issue.
Can I add to that?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so being on call over the weekend and in several weeks, we do have a process whereby every single person who is being immunized in real time has access through the public health nurses or whatever staff are working in the facilities to access a risk assessment through the medical officer of health in terms of whatever risks are identified at the time of immunization. And it does happen if they have risks or concerns, the nurse will be able to communicate that with medical officer, and then a decision is made whether or not they will proceed or not proceed. And then at that time, they are given information on how to book a vaccine administration for a different type of vaccine.
Thank you.
Mia Urquhart, CBC.
Thanks, Bruce. My question is for Dr. Russell. Are you tracking how many of those who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 have had at least one dose and which vaccine they've been given?
Absolutely, we keep track of all of that data.
Ms. Urquhart. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Voilà la fin de notre mise à jour concernant le vaccin AstraZeneca. That concludes the update on AstraZeneca vaccine. Thank you.